It's the father-daughter dance, and I'm alone, the 6-year-old told the CEO, so he stood up. The ballroom shimmered beneath golden chandeliers, filled with soft music, laughter, and little girls dressed like princesses, each tightly holding the hand of her father. It was the annual father-daughter charity dance, one of the city's most cherished traditions, where successful business leaders and their families gathered for an evening celebrating love, trust, and unforgettable memories. 6-year-old Lily stood quietly near the entrance, wearing a simple pale blue dress her grandmother had carefully ironed that morning. She watched fathers kneel to straighten tiny shoes, wipe away nervous tears, and promise their daughters the first dance of the evening. Lily hugged her small invitation tightly against her chest, pretending not to notice the empty space beside her. Her father had promised to come before cancer stole him away the previous winter. Her mother worked 2 jobs and couldn't leave her evening shift at the hospital. She had told Lily to enjoy the music anyway, but standing alone among complete families hurt more than she had imagined. If stories about kindness, hope, and unexpected heroes touch your heart, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring journeys. Across the ballroom sat Ethan Carter, the city's youngest billionaire CEO. His company sponsored the event every year, though he usually attended only for photographs and speeches before quietly leaving. Success had given him wealth beyond imagination but had taken nearly everything else. Endless meetings had replaced family dinners, and his recent divorce had left him living alone in a luxurious penthouse that felt colder every evening. As photographers crowded around him, Ethan noticed a tiny girl standing alone by the dance floor, trying desperately to smile while watching everyone else. Something about the loneliness in her eyes reminded him of himself. The announcer stepped onto the stage with a warm smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our father-daughter dance. Fathers, please take your daughters' hands." The ballroom erupted in applause as fathers proudly walked onto the polished floor. Lily remained frozen near the wall. She looked down at her tiny shoes before whispering to herself, "It's the father-daughter dance, and I'm alone." Her quiet words weren't meant for anyone else, but Ethan happened to be passing behind her. He stopped instantly. The little girl's voice carried no anger, only heartbreaking acceptance, as though she had already learned that life wasn't always fair. He knelt beside her, careful not to frighten her. "Would you tell me your name?" he asked gently. "Lily. And where's your dad tonight?" She looked toward the ceiling for a second before answering softly. "He's in heaven. Mom says he still watches me dance." For several seconds Ethan couldn't speak. Around them the music had already begun, and fathers were spinning their daughters beneath sparkling lights. Without another word, Ethan slowly stood up and extended his hand. "If it's all right with you," he smiled, "I'd be honored to borrow this dance." Lily looked uncertain. "Really? Really?" She placed her tiny hand into his, and together they stepped onto the dance floor. Conversations slowly faded as hundreds of guests noticed the famous CEO dancing with a little girl nobody seemed to know. There were no cameras in Ethan's mind anymore, no investors, no board meetings, only a child who deserved one beautiful memory instead of another painful reminder of loss. The orchestra played a gentle waltz while Lily laughed for the first time that evening. Ethan carefully matched her tiny steps, making dramatic spins that filled the ballroom with cheerful giggles. Guests quietly wiped tears from their eyes as the unexpected pair became the heart of the celebration. Even the musicians seemed to play more softly, allowing every precious moment to linger. When the song ended, the entire ballroom rose to its feet in thunderous applause. Lily wrapped her arms around Ethan and whispered, "Thank you for making me feel like every other little girl tonight." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "No, Lily," he replied. "Thank you for reminding me what success is really supposed to look like." Months later, Ethan quietly established a foundation that sponsored children who had lost parents, ensuring none of them would ever attend another special event feeling forgotten. But no award, business deal, or headline ever meant as much to him as one simple dance with a brave 6-year-old who taught an entire room that family isn't always defined by blood, it is often created by compassion. Before you go, tell us in the comments, what small act of kindness has stayed with you forever? If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can discover the incredible power of compassion. 3 months after the dance, Ethan believed life had returned to its familiar rhythm. Board meetings filled his mornings. International flights occupied his weekends. Investors praised his latest acquisition, and business magazines once again called him the CEO who never stops moving. Yet every evening, as he looked across the skyline from his office window, one memory refused to fade. A little girl in a pale blue dress. A tiny hand wrapped around his. And one sentence that had quietly changed everything. It's the father-daughter dance, and I'm alone. The foundation he had created in Lily's honor had already begun helping dozens of children who had lost parents. They funded school trips, birthday celebrations, sports programs, and counseling. Ethan insisted that every child should know they mattered. Still, something felt unfinished. One rainy Saturday afternoon, he decided to visit the community center where many of the children gathered. His assistants assumed it was another publicity event, but Ethan arrived without photographers, reporters, or security cameras. Inside, children painted colorful pictures while volunteers served cookies and hot chocolate. Then he heard a familiar laugh. Lily. She was sitting at a small table, carefully coloring a picture of two people dancing beneath bright yellow stars. She looked up and immediately recognized him. Mr. Ethan. She ran across the room and hugged him tightly. You came back. Ethan smiled warmly. I promised myself I would. Lily proudly showed him her drawing. It's us. The picture showed a tall man wearing a suit beside a little girl in a blue dress. Above them, dozens of stars filled the sky. Who's watching from up there? Ethan asked. My daddy, Lily answered. I think he liked our dance. For a moment, Ethan couldn't find the words. A volunteer quietly approached. You should know something, she whispered. After that night, Lily changed. She barely spoke before. She never wanted to join activities because she always felt different from the other children. Now she's smiling again. Ethan looked back at Lily, who was helping another younger girl color inside the lines. One dance. That was all it had taken. As the afternoon continued, Ethan joined the children for games, puzzles, and storytelling. He laughed harder than he had in years. When it was time to leave, Lily walked him to the door. Will you come to my school play next month? She asked nervously. There aren't many people coming. Ethan checked his calendar on instinct. $1 billion merger meeting. A conference in New York. A television interview. For the first time in years, none of them seemed important. He closed the calendar without another glance. I'll be there. Her face lit up brighter than the sunshine finally breaking through the rain clouds. You promise? I promise. As Ethan drove home, he realized something profound. For years he had believed changing the world required billion-dollar investments. But sometimes, changing one child's world was enough to change your own. And without realizing it, the lonely CEO who had stood up for a little girl at a father-daughter dance was slowly becoming the father figure she never expected, and the family he never knew he needed was quietly finding him too. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us about someone whose kindness changed your life. The evening of Lily's school play arrived with crisp autumn air and rows of proud families filling the elementary school auditorium. Children peeked through the curtains, searching the audience for familiar faces. Lily searched too. For a brief moment, fear crept into her heart. What if he had forgotten? What if an important meeting had mattered more? Then the auditorium doors opened. Ethan walked in, still wearing his navy business suit, his tie slightly crooked as though he had rushed straight from work. He carried no assistants, no bodyguards, and no reporters. Only a small bouquet of white daisies, the same flowers Lily had once told him were her mother's favorite. The moment she spotted him, her nervous smile returned. He came, she whispered to herself. The play began. Lily's role was small. She played a bright little star who appeared for only a few minutes, singing with the other children. But to Ethan, she looked like the star of the entire show. He applauded louder than anyone else, and when the curtain closed, Lily ran into the hallway. "You really came. I told you I would." She hugged him so tightly that teachers nearby couldn't help smiling. Just then, another woman approached. She looked exhausted from a long hospital shift, still wearing her nurse's uniform beneath a light coat. "Lily," she said softly. "Mom." Lily introduced them. "Mr. Ethan, this is my mommy." Her mother extended her hand. "I'm Sarah. I don't know how I'll ever thank you for what you've done for my daughter." Ethan shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "After my husband died, Lily stopped believing people kept their promises. She thought everyone eventually left. But ever since that dance, she believes in people again." Those words stayed with Ethan long after they left the school. Over the following months, visiting Lily and Sarah became a natural part of his life. Sometimes he helped Lily with homework. Sometimes they visited the park together. Other weekends they volunteered at the foundation, reading books to children who had also lost parents. People in the city began noticing something unusual. The billionaire CEO who once measured success by stock prices was now spending weekends building toy shelves, attending school events, and serving meals at children's shelters. His employees noticed the change too. He smiled more. He listened more. He left the office before sunset whenever possible. The company's culture slowly transformed. Employees were encouraged to spend paid volunteer days helping their communities. Scholarships were created for children who had experienced family loss. Profits remained strong, but something even more valuable grew: purpose. One snowy December evening, Ethan received an invitation from Lily. It was handmade with glitter and colorful crayons. "Christmas dinner at our apartment. Please come. Your family." He stared at those last two words for a long time. Your family. No business award had ever meant as much. On Christmas Eve, Ethan climbed the stairs to their modest apartment carrying wrapped gifts and homemade cookies he had awkwardly baked himself. Sarah laughed when she saw the misshapen cookies. "They're not perfect." "I noticed," Ethan admitted. Lily took one bite anyway. "They're the best cookies ever." Everyone laughed. Later that night, they sat around a tiny Christmas tree decorated with paper stars made by Lily herself. One ornament caught Ethan's attention. It showed two people dancing beneath golden lights. "Our first dance," Lily said proudly. Ethan felt emotion rise in his throat. He looked around the little apartment. The furniture was old. The decorations were simple. Yet he had never felt richer. As snow gently fell outside the window, Ethan silently thanked fate for one little girl brave enough to whisper that she was alone. Because the truth was, she hadn't just found someone to dance with. She had given a lonely man a reason to come home again. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, do you believe family is built by blood, by love, or by both? If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can experience the power of one simple act of kindness.